Yes, people, what's happening? And welcome to the Gav Goes In podcast. Ah, Arsenal, Arsenal, Arsenal. Well. What do we say? What do we say? Yep, as Gamer said, game over. PSG 2, Arsenal 1, and PSG go through to the Champions League final against Inter Milan. And well, what can we say, guys? Arsenal, the great pretenders, I've had to put up all week, of hearing people say, Arsenal this, Arsenal that, Mikel Arteta. And unfortunately for Arsenal, they end the season trophyless again. Again, you know. And you know what? Big up Reluctant Gamer. Big up everyone that's come through so far. Guys, smash a like. Big up to Sham as well. Guys, smash a like if you think Arsenal should have gone. Well, if you think Arsenal definitely should have gone out at this time. PSG, again, over both legs, were definitely the better team. Um, yeah, as I said, man, Arsenal, the great pretenders, I think the game itself, I did think Arsenal started quite well, to be fair. You can see they were very aggressive. I think the fullbacks were aggressive in their positioning. Timber and Lewis Skelly were high up the pitch. And in terms of Saka and Martinelli, again, they started off very high as well, up the pitch as well. And they were aggressive around the whole pitch in their press. Big up to Sham, big up to Reluctant Gamer, big up to Daniela as well. Guys, big up, man. Big up for coming on. And so yeah, for me, Arsenal, as I say, did start off well, but Gianluigi Donnarumma, I mean, what a performance over both legs. Arguably, you can say he's one of the main reasons that PSG went through, but again, he's just doing his job at the end of the day, and what a job he done. But that save from Odegaard, was a great save, and yeah, he more or less kept PSG, relevant in the tie. You would say, definitely in the second leg, but PSG's quality was always going to come through in the end. Obviously they got a penalty which Vitinha missed, and obviously the goal from Fabian Ruiz. Fabian Ruiz again. I think I done Fabian Ruiz a disservice the other day, because when I spoke about the best midfielders in the world right now, I mentioned Vitinha and I mentioned Pedri. I think Fabian Ruiz has to get a shout out as well, because over the two legs, he's arguably been the best midfielder. The guy's press resistant. Obviously, he got a great goal today. He's good in the air. He's got a great touch. He's he's composed. You know what I mean? Left-footed as well. He can run. Like, the guy's just a complete midfielder. So yeah, madness. Big up to XGH as well. System McNoy says Lakers suck. Yeah, big up, man. Listen, if you're an Arsenal, big up DXR. If you're an Arsenal fan, your tears are welcome. We will get through it together. But guys, if it's your first time in there, again, make sure you smash that like button, and make sure you subscribe to my channel as well. So yeah, that was the worst pen. But listen, Vitinha's been great in this Champions League, man. So you won't be hearing any criticism from me on Vitinha. What a player he is. But yeah, as I said, guys, PSG for me thoroughly deserve to go through. And it just shows you, so many times. Big up to Agnieszka Kozlowska. I'm guessing you're Polish. She's a Barcelona fan. Obviously, Robert Lewandowski, Wojciech Szczesny as well. But big up yourself. For me, PSG, man, they deserve to go through. And it just shows you, too many people saying that this French league is the Farmers League. And let's face it, the so-called Farmers League have the best team in that league in PSG. And they have swept aside Man City, Liverpool, and now Arsenal. Three of the top teams in the Premier League, and currently the teams that sit first, second, and third. And PSG have swept all three teams aside. So really, who's the real Farmers League? That's the question that needs to be asked, because they've beaten all three teams and they've beaten them relatively comfortable in the end as well. And again, yeah, PSG for me against Inter Milan. I think that's going to be a good final, to be fair. But as I said, I think it would have been Barcelona for me. But yeah, I think PSG, man, over the two legs, man, they thoroughly deserved the win. As I said, I think Arsenal only really, I think the first 10 minutes of the game, first 10 to 15 minutes of the game, Arsenal were on top. And then you could say that PSG scored against the run of play. But again, PSG just have a lot of quality in their team. And again, that came through in the end. I thought Kvaratskhelia was probably the best attacker over both legs. I think he was good. Hakimi, Nuno Mendes, and again, Nuno Mendes, for someone that was on a booking, he managed to get through the whole game and obviously persevere himself for the final, and obviously come off towards the end as well. But again, he couldn't really dive in on Saka because he was on a yellow card. But I felt he managed the game very well, and as I said, man, yeah, it was a very good display from PSG in the end. But I think Donnarumma, as I said, he definitely has to be given the credit, man, because he was unreal over both legs. That save from Odegaard, I think Odegaard probably couldn't have hit that any better. But this is why you pay the big money for keepers like that, because, these are the kind of keepers that will turn, draws to wins, losses to draws, or even draws to wins. So yeah, man, he was great over both legs and thoroughly deserved. I think he might have got man of the match as well, if I remember. And he thoroughly deserves it, man, because he played well. Let's go through some of the questions, guys. Big up for coming through. As I said, each and every time, make sure you smash that like button if you just come in, and again, make sure you subscribe to my channel. So let's check. So yeah, listen, them PSG ultras are saying goals, man. Like, obviously, apparently that their fans are very intimidating when you come and play there, and you can see some of the players, the Arsenal players, didn't really fancy it. I think if you look at Lewis Skelly didn't really fancy the game. You could tell, I think he struggled. I think in the first half he was okay, but there was something about him today. It didn't seem his normal self, and you can tell that he was struggling under the expectation, in my opinion. But I still think he's a good player, but it wasn't really one of his best games. Agnieszka says Liverpool is now first. They've been first for a little while. Agnieszka, big up yourself. They won the league. Big up DXR says you could argue Bundesliga is worse than Liga. Listen, that's not a bad shout, man. I think Liga gets a lot of unfair criticism. It's often called the Farmers League, but all these other leagues go and take players from that league. So I think when we hear this Farmers League nonsense, it's not true. It's just, if people don't really watch the league, then they're gonna have a bias to their own. And let's face it, what England's best, what they have to offer in terms of Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, PSG have beaten all three of them in one season. And to think that is mad. They've beaten all three teams in one season. So I think there's no way we can start calling this the Farmers League anymore. I think people have to be looking closer to home to see what the real Farmers League is. But big up. Yeah, man, listen, the talent in that country is mad. To think that they've had the likes of Camavinga, Chouameni come from there, both at Real Madrid. Who else is there? Obviously, Eden Hazard come from Lille. Plenty of players. If anyone else knows any other players, man, put that in the chat. Who else they got there? Obviously, Dembele, he's gone back to France, but he was at Rennes. You know, he went to obviously Barcelona, Borussia Dortmund, Barcelona. You know, Mbappe, of course, coming from Monaco and from PSG as well. So yeah, they've got mad talent in that league that just gets plucked out, and there's loads more players, but I can't really think on the spot. But if anyone else knows, man, put that in the chat. Gamer says, I didn't know Inter Milan can score a lot of goals. I think they can definitely beat PSG, but very tight game. PSG keeper is amazing too. What I would say for the PSG and the Inter Milan final, you know, for me, it's going to be a tactical battle because I think a lot of what PSG's threats are coming from their fullbacks in Nuno Mendes and Hakimi, because they play so aggressive and they're so high up the pitch. You know, they create that attacking outlet and they create you know, another threat down that flank, and it gives the likes of a Kvaratskhelia, a Doué, or a Dembele or Barcola. It gives them the option, you know, of even coming inside and or linking with the fullback, because Nuno Mendes and Hakimi both have ridiculous pace, you know, but they're willing runners as well, and the way they both play, they're very aggressive, you know, and their starting positions are always high up the pitch, so they're gonna cause problems for Inter Milan, and as you can see as well, when they've had DeMarco and Dumfries as the two other wing backs, DeMarco struggled against Lamine Yamal, but that's because Lamine Yamal is obviously, as we know, he's a generational talent anyway. But I wonder how they're going to fare up against, you know, just pure pace in the likes of for DeMarco, Hakimi. He's just got pure pace. I know Bastoni actually had a good game against Yamal over the two legs. I thought he was quite decent. But Hakimi's going to offer that, you know what I mean, that endless running. The other side is going to be interesting because Nuno Mendes up against Denzel Dumfries, I think could be the key battle, because I couldn't tell you who would actually get the better of that, because as we know, Denzel Dumfries, you know, his physicality is something else. And Nuno Mendes, I think if there's any fullback that can match Dumfries' physicality, I think it's him. So that battle is going to be interesting. And again, Dumfries is someone that is very aggressive in terms of his position, and Nuno Mendes is the same. So yeah, there's some interesting battles for sure. You know, obviously, PSG are going to have to play up against two strikers as well. You think it'd be Marcus Thuram and Lautaro Martinez again, and they've got other options on the bench. And I think PSG won't have played again. Another one, Marcus Thuram coming from the French league as well. I think PSG wouldn't have played up against a striker that really wants to play up against them, like Marcus Thuram. You know, so that would be a good battle. The midfield battle will be very good. You know, you've got, again, Vitinha, Fabian Ruiz, and João Neves up against Nicola Barella, Henrik Mkhitaryan, and Çalhanoğlu, you know. And if you look at all six players are all comfortable on the ball, you know. And a lot of them, I think if you look at the three from PSG, they're all tenacious. But the Inter Milan midfield, you've got Çalhanoğlu and Mkhitaryan, who are the experienced heads, you know. But then you've got Barella, who's a bit more of a workhorse in that midfield, but has quality, you know. So that's going to be an interesting battle to see what happens there. And again, you've got two of the best keepers in the Champions League this season in Donnarumma and Jan Sommer. So there's going to be battles all over that pitch. If I'm having to say who's going to win that game, I can't look past PSG for me. You know, I think PSG do play some great football, man. And for me, it's only going to be right that they win the Champions League. You know, I would have loved to have seen a final between Barcelona and PSG, but again, you know, we're going to have to wait for that one if it ever comes around again. But yeah, definitely PSG, man. I'm going to go with PSG to win this final. But big up. So Agnieszka says, Messi or Ronaldo? I get this question all the time, and it's not even close to me. Lionel Messi, big up. Big up to Barbara Joseph as well. Yeah, big up for coming on. So DXR says he fancies PSG. Yeah. Listen, PSG for me, man. I think that Inter Milan won't be easy, but I think you have to kind of go with PSG, man, because I think they've beaten some good teams in this tournament, and Inter Milan will offer a different kind of threat, but I think it's safe to say, man, that PSG are the favourites going into this, because the fact that Inter Milan, I know they've only conceded 5 goals before they played Barcelona, but they conceded 6 goals over the tie, which might be a bit concerning playing up against a PSG team that don't seem to be giving a lot away, and unless they tighten up a bit more, I think it's PSG's to lose personally, but again, it's gonna be a good game, man. So that's gonna be certain for me, you know. Um, so Daniela says Inter Milan all the way. I for one being Italian, well, as they say, Italian do it better. Yeah, listen, Daniela. As I said, Inter Milan, yeah, they've done well to get to the finals. If I'm honest with you, as I said, they were my dark horse team, and they have got threats, especially in them attacking areas, and they've got a coach in Simone Inzaghi, to be fair, who is one of the best coaches in Europe right now, and the way he's got this Inter Milan team organized, from back to front, it's not going to be easy for PSG. But I think where PSG could undo them is the individual abilities of a lot of their players. If you look at in the attacking areas, you've got Kvaratskhelia, 1 against 1, he's a problem. The same with Dembele. Doué's a very good player, but he's hit and miss. The same with Barcola. But I think the midfield battle is going to be interesting because you've got 3 players there for PSG, who all 3 of them are high energy, but have a lot of quality as well. And then you've got the aging legs of Çalhanoğlu and Mkhitaryan, who do have quality, but can they keep up with the intensity of what the other 3 are going to bring? And you've got Barella, to be fair, who's all-rounded, But they have got players on the bench like Fratesi, who come on yesterday and got the winner, and Zelinski as well. So they could, if they could change that again, it could be a game changer for them. But as I said, I'm not going to look past PSG for me. I think PSG definitely are the favourites. Big up to Mackin Newham, says, imagine if Arsenal end up 7th too. Yeah, Arsenal won't drop that far down. So I think if we're looking at who's 7th now, it's Aston Villa. And I think Aston Villa are on 60 points and Arsenal are on 67. So Aston Villa will need to win all their games and Arsenal, to basically lose all their games, which I don't see happening. But Arsenal's next league game's against Liverpool. And guys, let's not forget, Arsenal now are on a 3-game losing streak. They've lost to PSG twice and they've lost to Bournemouth. So obviously their next 2 league games are Liverpool and Newcastle. And they're 2 games that you can easily say, Arsenal might not pick up anything there, But I think as I said, guys, Arsenal going into this this Champions League tie, which was sandwiched in between the Bournemouth game, I did say, if anyone's been watching the channel, I did say this is where Arsenal for me are going to fall apart because they're 3 big games, and he's going to have to change the team. And if you look at it now, they've lost all 3 games, and that's going to dent the confidence. That's going to that's going to really take a lot out of that team for me. And as I said, Man City are playing Southampton on Saturday. And by the time Arsenal play Liverpool I think it's on Sunday, was it? No, I think it might be Saturday. Is it Saturday evening? I think by the time they play Liverpool, Man City will be on the same points. So, it's going to be interesting because I can see Arsenal finishing, as I said, as low as 3rd. And if Newcastle beat them as well, I wouldn't rule out Newcastle getting above them. But I think 3rd they might finish. I think Man City now will go on to be the 2nd best team in the league this season for me. DXR says Real Madrid is a curse. Winning over them got them all gassed. You know what? Yeah, I don't think it got them all gassed. If I'm honest, I think this Arsenal fan base are deluded. I think a lot of them think this team is a lot better than what they are. This manager for me, Mikel Arteta, how he's survived this long, I will never know, because he's been there, what, 5 or 6 seasons now? And what's he got to show for the team that he's built? Absolutely nothing. People will say, look at what he's built over the years, but he isn't getting this team over the line. And the problem for Mikel Arteta now is that this Premier League is so competitive, I think that a lot of these teams in the summer are going to really go for it and try and get some players. And you can't comfortably say that Arsenal are going to finish in the top 2 next season. Because I think Man City won't be as bad as they have been this season. Liverpool, you'd fancy them to be up there again. Chelsea, the amount of money Chelsea have spent, them finishing the top 2 for me, or the top 3, is going to be a minimum requirement. And then you've got the likes of Newcastle, Villa, so it's going to be difficult for Arsenal. So this I'm trying to say to you, the fact that Arteta has managed to secure himself another title, another contract, I don't really know what Arsenal are playing at, because if Arsenal have anything about them, then they'll just move him on, because he's been there for 5 or 6 seasons now. And yeah, people might say that he's got them competing, but if you look at the points total is worse. Let's be honest with you, it's getting worse for them now. So yeah, they're gonna have to take a serious look. And again, if I'm Ethan Nwaneri, next season I'm looking at a loan, or looking at moving on, because he didn't get not 1 minute tonight. And as bad as Odegaard has been, as I keep saying, the fact that Nwaneri can't even get game time and this manager is persisting with Odegaard. Again, if I'm Nwaneri, I'm looking at my future thinking, yeah, I can do better than this. But people will say he's still young, but he's going to be losing valuable development if he stays on the bench, because I think as a talent, he needs to be playing a lot more than he has been. And this is coming from someone that doesn't really have any interest in Arsenal, but he's a good player, man, Gamer says, I smell City finishing above Arsenal. Who could be another team finishing above them too? Yeah, so City, I think Newcastle, even Chelsea, because I think Chelsea and Newcastle are both on the same points, on 63. So whoever wins that game, there'll be a point behind Arsenal, and Arsenal still got to play Liverpool before those 2 teams. I mean, if it's a draw, then you'd say that Arsenal would be loving that one. But I think if Newcastle or Chelsea happen to win that game, to be a point behind Arsenal, and then Arsenal have to go to Liverpool, and let's say Liverpool beat them, Arsenal are in trouble, because City's next 3 games, as I said, are Southampton away, Bournemouth at home, and then Fulham last game of the season. And then obviously Newcastle, I can't remember who they got, but I think they got obviously Chelsea, but I can't remember the other fixtures. I think Gamer might know. And then you look at Chelsea. Chelsea have got Forest last game of the season. They've got Newcastle, and they've got Man United on Friday, I believe, which at home, you'd expect them to beat United, because United will probably change their team if they make it to the final of the Europa League. So yeah, as I said, Arsenal in a lot of trouble, man. And what business are they going to do in the summer? For me, Arsenal need to go and get a left winger, definitely, a striker, which everyone knows. And I would say definitely another midfield player, and probably cover for Saka, or someone to compete with Saka, because I think Saka just knows he's going to play every week, and Nwaneri's not really a right winger, he's number 10, but he's kind of playing backup to both Saka and Odegaard, so if Arsenal don't go in the market and get a striker, a left winger to replace Martinelli, because between him and Trossard, Trossard is more likely to get you a goal. But I think between Trossard and Martinelli, they need to upgrade in that position. I think in terms of their defence, they've got Lewis Skelly, left back, Gabriel, Saliba, Timber. I think that's a solid 4, to be fair. David Raya, possibly get an upgrade there. But midfield, they need to get an upgrade in there. And yeah, so for me, they need about 3 or 4 players. But again, will that 3 or 4 players get them over the line? Because we keep on saying this, So we'll have to wait and see though. But big up anyway. Yeah, next season is gonna be crazy, man. It's gonna be mad. I think you might see a lot of teams going for similar players as well. And that's not to mention the likes of Man United needing serious recruitment as well. But yeah, I think the next season is gonna be mad because I'm hoping, yeah, for football's sake, I'm hoping that Newcastle are allowed to spend because, as we know, they've got probably the richest owners in football, but because of their revenue, they can't spend what they want to spend. But I'm hoping that these the rules are kind of going in their favor, and I think if they can spend some serious money, you're gonna have a team there that's gonna be competing for a title for sure. You know, the same with Aston Villa as well. You expect them to go again as well. But Chelsea, so it's gonna be mad, man. But we're gonna have to wait and see what the funds are gonna be like for these teams in the summer. But I think the spending will be crazy, for sure. But yeah, big up. Shout out to Aston Villa. I went uni at Aston Villa. Aston was there for 5 years. Okay, yeah, no, listen, Birmingham, man, yeah. As I said, man, Aston Villa are a team that I like to watch. They've got a top manager in Unai Emery, and as I mentioned the other day, man, for me, they've got. If anyone's seen um, one of my streams done the other day, I done a pre-record the other day. For me, Morgan Rogers, I think he can go right to the very top. I think he can go and play for any team in this league, and I think he can go and play for any team in the world. I think, the likes of a Barcelona or a Real Madrid, I think they should be looking at Morgan Rogers. I think he's that good. I think he's England's best talent right now. And again, if you've seen my poll, I done obviously Cole Palmer, Morgan Rogers, Bukayo Saka, and then other. So obviously the poll at the moment is saying that Cole Palmer is England's best talent right now. And I think second might have been Morgan Rogers. And as I said, I think Morgan Rogers, for me, I think he has everything to his game to go right to the very top. And as I said, I think he can go and play for a Barca, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and I'll be surprised if them teams ain't looking at him, or even if Man City are not thinking about taking him back. Which we know that they don't really do. But yeah, he's a top player, man. So Newcastle got Chelsea, Arsenal, Chelsea, Arsenal, Everton. So yeah, they've got a tough running, man. So both Newcastle and Chelsea have both got a tough running. Man City have got the easier running, and that's what I'm saying. Man City beat Southampton. That's them guaranteed finishing in the top 5 in the Champions League places, which they were gonna do anyway for me. But I think that that running for Newcastle, for Chelsea, and even Arsenal's running is tough. But yeah, I think the teams that I expect to miss out of the Champions League places, I think you're looking at the two that are in that position at the moment, in Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest. Unless Aston Villa can win the next 2 games, to kind of make it interesting, it'd be hard for them to try and get in there. But I think Nottingham Forest, I don't think they make the Champions League. I think they make Europa because again, they're gonna have to win the majority of their games. I think they're gonna have to beat Chelsea last game of the season, and they're gonna have to win at least their next game. I think the game against Palace, if they would have won that would have give them some confidence. They've got Leicester at home, which you'd expect them to win. So I think this Leicester game they have to win, which might give them a glimmer of hope. But if they get anything less than a win at Leicester, then yeah, that's their Champions League dream well and truly done for me. So yeah. So Mackin says Saka and Saliba are going to go Madrid. No way. For a start, Arsenal are going to ask for in excess of 100 million for Saka. Saliba, again, they're going to ask for something ridiculous like that for Saliba as well. And I think out of both of them, I'd more likely say Saliba, but I think Saliba's gonna have to say that he wants to leave. You know, and again, I think, as we know, Real Madrid don't really go out there and just say, look, we're gonna buy your player for 100 mil. You know, the last time they done that, I think the last player was probably Bellingham. You know, but the rest of their players they're getting on free transfers. Mbappe on the free, Trent on the free. So if they really want Saliba, then they're gonna have to put the money down and make it known. But for me, I can't see Arsenal part. If Arsenal part ways with both Saka and Saliba, then that's two of their best players. So I can't see that happening. And again, they're gonna price them out of a move anyway. But that's wishful thinking, Mackin. But yeah, I can't see that happening, man. So Daniel says, I'm so proud of my team. Liverpool winning the Champions League. What's next? What's next for Liverpool? So Liverpool didn't win. Liverpool won the Premier League. They got knocked out Champions League by PSG, who are in the final now. But yeah, as I said, Liverpool thoroughly deserved the title this season, man. Like, they were the most consistent team by far. And as I said, I think for me, next season it's gonna be good to see who they actually go in for, because again, they've lost Trent. You know, are they gonna go and get another right back that's gonna be the main right back, you know, number one right back, or are they gonna give Conor Bradley game time and get someone there for cover? Who knows? I think going forwards, they need to go and buy a striker for me, because they need to offload Darwin Núñez, you know, and obviously if Jota's going to be a squad player, then that might be good for them. But in terms of that striking position, they need to go and get someone that is a proper striker that's going to get them goals, you would say, unless they're going to go down the route of a false nine, like a Bobby Firmino kind of type player. And then I think you're looking at midfield. I think Gravenberch, McAllister, you know, that's two players there that are going to play. I think the third one might be, obviously Szoboszlai's playing at the moment. But for me, I would, for me, as I said, I've mentioned a certain Carlos Baleba. You know, I think if they were to get him, partnering him with McAllister and Gravenberch would be a great addition, you know. But they might be looking for a more attacking player. Who knows? But yeah, no, they're definitely gonna spend, man, in the in the summer, man, for sure. And I think to be fair, Arne Slot's deserved it, you know, because he hasn't spent no money and he's won Liverpool a title, so he deserves the money. But it's gonna be interesting to see who they go for. I think if Liverpool is serious, they go and get a Kudus, because Kudus can be the eventual replacement for Salah, you know. And I think if they was to offer, you know, 60 to 70 million for Kudus, I think West Ham will find that hard to turn down. But for sure, I think he's probably, for me, the most likely one. If you're looking at someone in the league, I'm looking at two players that can not offer Salah's output, but could be a similar threat on that right-hand side. There's two players, and it's two players that will be, that I think a lot of teams will be after in the Premier League. I've mentioned Newcastle as one of them. I think if they was to go for a Kudus or an Mbeumo to replace Salah eventually, you know, that's going to be a great bit of business for them, man, because, as I say, Salah's not going to go on forever. And I think you've got two players that are Premier League proven that will definitely make Liverpool a threat if they go and get them, you know. So, yeah, big up, gamer, man. Big up, man. Listen, mods, do your job, man. That's all I ask, man. But big up yourselves, yeah. If anyone's coming in there chatting shit and not contributing to the channel, then yeah, man, you guys have the power to just time them out or just block them permanently. But yeah, big up, man. Big up. Yeah, big up yourself. So guys, what do we think then? Do we think that Arteta deserves to keep his job? Because for me, I think he needs to be sacked, if I'm honest. For me, he's in the same boat as Ruben Amorim for me, and Postecoglou, you know, because for different reasons, you know. Obviously, Arteta being at Arsenal for the length that he has been and not winning anything really with his own team. And then you've got Postecoglou and Amorim performing how they have done in the league, but both managers look like they're taking their teams to the Europa League final. And again, if that'll be a good final, because for me, whoever loses that final has to be sacked. So it's going to be on the line for both managers if they get to the final. So we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, so that's what I think, man. But yeah, I think if you look at some of the performances as well, over the semi final for Arsenal, I think, I know people will say that, that Thomas Partey was missed in the first leg, but personally, I don't think he was. I think that even if he played that first leg, I think PSG would have found a way through eventually anyway. And as I said, I think Partey does make them stronger, but I wonder what they're going to do with Partey, because if I'm honest with you, I think Partey deserves a new contract for the season he's had. But will Arsenal go and get someone who they believe might be an upgrade, or someone they believe might fit better into their team? Obviously, there was talk about Zubimendi, but whether that happens now, I don't know. But for me, Thomas Partey wasn't missing the first leg, but I think he's probably their best midfielder. I know people will say Declan Rice, but I think you notice the difference when Partey's not playing, because he does control that midfield for Arsenal. But as I said, yeah, I think that they'll be looking for reinforcements in the summer. Yeah, guys, listen, I don't care how he's unblocked himself. At the end of the day, man, you guys are doing your job. You're blocking him. That's all there is to it. Obviously, as I said, man, we ain't got time for no nonsense, man. We're here to have proper football chat, and if it's not for you, you're not forced to come and watch this. So, yeah, you can see yourself out, man. So, yeah, big up, guys, for doing your jobs, man. Big up every time. Guys, any other questions before we bounce? I'm going to be live tomorrow, obviously Man United playing Athletic Bilbao in the second leg of the Europa League. And for me, United, there's no excuses. If you're looking at the three players from Athletic Bilbao that are not involved, Sunset, Inaki and Nico Williams, that's three starters and three players that are arguably three of their best players. Man United 3-0 up at Old Trafford. United have to go through. There's no excuses, But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, so yeah, as I said, I will be live tomorrow, guys. I might be live at some point during the day tomorrow, but again, I will schedule it. Obviously, hopefully there's some news that has dropped, because obviously I done one today about Bruno Fernandes. Looks like the Saudi interest is heating up, and I think Saudi could make a bid at any time. I don't think they're gonna care about if Man United got a Europa League semi-final coming up. I think if they really want the player, then they could make a bid at any time. And there's been reports today that Bruno doesn't want to go. Again, do I believe that? No, because once the bid comes in and they start mentioning the numbers that's been talked about, you're going to find it very hard to try and turn that down. So, I think if Saudi do want him, I can see him going, because the club will be absolute idiots if they was to turn down any sort of bid for Bruno Fernandes at the age he's at, So we're going to have to wait and see. Yeah, gamer, man. Man United tomorrow, man. Yeah, so at home to Athletic Bilbao, second leg. Obviously, Tottenham playing as well tomorrow against Bodo Glimt. So you'd expect us to have an all-English final, if I'm honest. And as I said, Man United, for me, there's no excuses. No excuses for this manager. I know De Ligt's out of the game tomorrow, but 3-0 up. There's no way Athletic Bilbao come back into this tie for me. And, United have to make sure that it doesn't happen, because I believe, if Athletic Bilbao get an early goal, I think United could be in trouble. But I think United will do a professional job, to be honest with you, tomorrow, and just see the game out, and then just get them into the final against a potential Tottenham that it's looking like. So yeah, we will be there, definitely. So Gamer says, I predict United to win no matter how bad they do. They get the DNA for Cup 0, seeing if at the Carabao Cup final against Newcastle. Yeah, listen, Man United's football heritage, has always been there, and will always be there. So yeah, Man United for me have been a poor season, but again, the club just get to the final, man, and invariably, they do get a trophy at the end of it, and I expect nothing less. But as I said, football's a mad game, and anything can happen. But for sure, there's no excuses for Ruben Amorim tomorrow. So yeah, we will be there tomorrow, guys. So yeah, same time again tomorrow at 10 o'clock after the game. And again, make sure you put your notifications on to see when I go live, as I might go live during the day tomorrow at 12 o'clock or 12:30. But I'll schedule it anyway. Big up Danielas. Hey guys, keep subscribing at GavGoesIn. Yeah, guys, listen, keep the subscribing going and make sure you smash that like button. And as I said, guys, big up to each and every one of you that come through and contribute to the channel. And as I said, you guys are my mods now, so yeah, make sure you guys are you keep doing your job and keep supporting the channel. But guys, yeah, listen up. I'm gonna be back tomorrow, as I said, and yeah, make sure you guys come through, and again, we'll get into it, man. So let's hope that Man United can obviously do the job, get through to the final, get another trophy, and then we'll see what happens in the summer. But guys, big up yourselves for coming on each and every time, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Take it easy.